getting ready to start learning a new foreign language and doubting whether you should even take on Russian? You have probably heard that it is one of the harshest and most impenetrable languages in the world, an incomprehensible alphabet that looks like a secret cipher, 6 cases that make words change beyond recognition, verbs of motion that haunt students in their nightmares. Spoiler alert, all of this is true. The Russian language is objectively difficult. But you know what the paradox is? The complexity of this language is more than compensated for by what it gives you in return. Today we will break down 10 reasons to learn Russian. We are not going to talk in boring clichés about the great and mighty language of Pushkin and Dostoevsky. Let's leave that for school textbooks. The reasons will be very different, from pure practical and career-oriented to frankly funny and absurd. You will be surprised at how wide the world becomes when you start to understand Russian speech. Make yourself comfortable. Let's go. Let's start with the most relatable real-life scenario. Suppose you have a Russian wife, husband, or you are just planning to tie your life to someone from Russian-speaking countries. Do you know what will happen if you never learn your significant other's language? You will be sitting at traditional family dinners, staring at the herring under a fur coat salad, or селедка под шубой, trying to understand why everyone around you has been laughing for half an hour at some obscure joke from an uncle from Saratov. You simply must know Russian for your own comfort and survival in this environment. But it's not even just about the dinners. Understanding your partner's language is a direct access to their mentality and cultural code. Russian-speaking people argue differently, make up differently, and express love and care differently. When you catch the subtle shades of intonation, when you understand the sarcasm or hidden tenderness in words, you begin to understand the very essence of the person. Plus, you will have to communicate with the relatives somehow. English is most likely not going to help you there at all. So, if you are in the relationships with a native Russian speaker, you simply have no choice. Treat this as a basic requirement for a happy family life. Let's be frank. The Russian language sounds intimidating. To the ear of a person who has never studied it, Russian speech seems harsh, sharp, and very severe. And in certain situations, this can become your huge advantage. If you want to add some authority to yourself, look more dangerous, or simply make people take you a little more seriously, there is nothing better than starting to speak Russian with an absolutely straight face. When you pronounce those rolling r sounds and hissing sh and ch sounds, you are essentially broadcasting to those around you. I am not afraid of difficulties. I have learned one of the hardest languages in the world. I am not to be messed with. This is the language of harsh winters, brutal characters, and people who do not like to smile just for the sake of it. By speaking it, you instantly get plus 100 points to your charisma and brutality. Listen, let's be honest. We are all adults here, and we are not going to pretend that this doesn't exist. Russian swearing is not just a set of rude curse words for the back alleys. It is a cultural phenomenon, a huge independent layer of the language that possesses incredible expressive power. English F word, of course, is universal, but it is absolutely flat. Russian swearing works like a highly complex Lego set. You have only a few basic roots, but with the help of dozens of prefixes and suffixes, you can create hundreds, thousands of new words. The exact same swear word, depending on a tiny prefix, can mean to hit, to steal, to get very tired, to blatantly lie, to suddenly appear out of nowhere, or to run away very fast. This is an amazing multi-level system. With its help, native speakers can express the extreme degree of aggression, absolute delight, slight bewilderment, or the deepest philosophical disappointment in the meaning of life. And all this with a single word? Knowing how this works in practice means touching the pure primal energy of the language. Want to boost your neuroplasticity and protect your brain from aging? Forget about Sudoku and crossword puzzles. Just try to figure out why in Russian a glass stands on the table but a fork lies. Or why a bird sits on a tree even though it seemingly has no butt to sit on. Learning Russian forces your brain to work at the limit of its capabilities. First, you will have to learn a completely new alphabet. Then you will encounter cases. The endings of words will change depending on their role in the sentences, and this breaks the logic of an English-speaking person. And then comes the time for perfective and imperfective verbs. It seems, how could it get any harder? Why suffer so much? But it is exactly this phenomenal complexity that creates new neural connections in your brain. You are literally downloading a new operating system for yourself. Your thinking becomes more flexible. You learn to structure information differently and look at familiar things from a different angle. This is a full-fledged, rigorous workout for your intellect that brings results far beyond linguistics. Every language is an optic through which we look at the world, and the Russian language offers lenses that do not exist anywhere else in the world. It has dozens of words describing states and emotions for which terms simply haven't been invented in English. Take the famous word toska. It is far from just sadness and melancholy. As Vladimir Nabokov wrote, it is a feeling of deep spiritual suffering without any apparent cause, a vague restlessness, nostalgia, a yearning for love, and all of this simultaneously and in one short word. And how do you translate the concept of the word avos? It's not just luck, it is the philosophy of entire nation, doing something relying on luck without a clear plan, sincerely believing that everything will somehow miraculously work out. Or the word nadrif, an emotional tension on the verge of a nervous breakdown and ostentatious, almost theatrical suffering. By studying such words, you begin to understand why Russian culture is so deep and contradictory. You get completely new tools for understanding and expressing your own emotions. Perhaps this reason sounds cliche, but it is the absolute truth. Reading Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Bulgakov, or Chekhov in English translation is like looking at the ocean through dirty glass. Yes, you understand the general plot. Yes, you catch the main philosophical ideas, but you inevitably lose the rhythm, the melody, and that very verbal magic that the author embedded in the text. The original Russian text conveys depth that no translator, even the most brilliant one, can recreate. When Rodion Raskolnikov contemplates his crime, Dostoevsky uses a specific syntax that perfectly conveys the feverish, sick state of the character. In translation, this is often smoothed out. Reading the classics in the original is a truly hard intellectual labor, but the reward for it is colossal. The original Russian text conveys depth that no translator, even the most brilliant one, can recreate. When Rodion Raskolnikov contemplates his crime, Dostoevsky uses a specific syntax that perfectly conveys the feverish, sick state of the character. In translation, this is often smoothed out. Reading the classics in the original is a truly hard intellectual labor, but the reward for it is colossal. You directly touch the word masterpieces of literature in their pristine form. If you plan to travel a lot in Eastern Europe, Russia, or the countries of Central Asia, you can immediately forget about English. Yes, in large tourist centers, in trendy cafes, or in hotels, you will most likely get by. But try driving 20 kilometers away from the center of Moscow or St. Petersburg. Get to Lake Baikal, Kamchatka, or to the Caucasus Mountains. There, your brilliant English will not help you, but basic conversational Russian will open absolutely any doors. The people in these vast territories are incredibly hospitable, but they often close up if they feel a language barrier. As soon as you say a couple of phrases in Russian and show that you respect their culture, you will be invited into their homes, fed to the brim, told their whole life stories, and shown places that are not in any trendy guidebook. You will see a real, living, non glossy life. Let's move on to pragmatics. The Russian language is the language of daily business communication for tens of millions of people across a giant economic space. From the booming IT sector in Belarus and Armenia to large scale infrastructure and oil and gas projects in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Everywhere they speak and negotiate in Russian. Many Western, Asian, and Middle Eastern companies are constantly looking for specialists capable of conducting complex negotiations, reading local contracts, and understanding the specifics of the local market in Russian. This is your huge competitive advantage in the job market. Engineers, programmers, diplomats, and sales managers with knowledge of the Russian language are worth their weight in gold because there aren't that many qualified people like this outside the CIS itself. By learning the language, you open up a colossal job market for yourself. Imagine a classic situation. You are sitting in a coffee shop somewhere in New York, Paris, Tokyo, or Bali. You urgently need to discuss someone at the next table with your friend, or solve a confidential work issue right here and now. Speaking in English or the local language is dangerous. You will almost certainly be heard and understood. The Russian language in such situations acts as a perfect, reliable secret code. Yes, there are many Russian speaking expats everywhere now, but the probability that random passerby in a typical European town will understand you is extremely low. You get the unique opportunity to freely, loudly, and emotionally discuss absolutely anything in public while maintaining complete privacy. And yes, the best part is the legal superpower to swear out loud from the bottom of your heart if someone cuts you off on the street. This is an incredibly convenient bonus that you will start to appreciate on every trip abroad. And finally, by learning Russian language, you get yourself a huge discount on learning a whole group of other languages. The Russian language belongs to the Slavic language branch. If you go through the pain and master its grammar, learn the logic of cases, and get used to the structure of roots and prefixes, a whole new linguistic world will literally open up before you. Polish, Czech, Serbian, Bulgarian, Ukrainian, all these languages will suddenly seem incredibly familiar and logical to you. You will intuitively understand the structure of their sentences. You will discover thousands of similar or identical roots in them. Learning a second Slavic language after you have conquered Russian will be about 5 times easier than starting this journey from scratch. Think of Russian language as a universal master key to all of Eastern Europe. Learning the Russian language is indeed a long marathon, not a short sprint. Truth be told, any non native language needs to be studied for a lifetime. But to master the basic minimum, start understanding speech, and talk confidently, you don't need that much time at all. It is absolutely not scary. My school and I will help you pass this initial stage as quickly and stress free as possible. Sign up for a free introductory lesson using the link in the description or in the bio. We will get to know each other, assess your skills, and understand in which direction it is best for you to move. Don't be afraid of difficulties and just start. If you found this video useful, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. And be sure to write in comments which reason do you consider the most important for yourself. And see you in the new videos!